welcome into Behind the G, the first October episode, a podcast for Red Elephants by Red Elephants. I'm Katie B, my co-host Adam Lindsay, multitasking his way through this week's recording, both this episode and he's recording his new album, Life of an Athletic Director. The first single, The Fate of the Red Elephants, is going to be available at all IMAX theaters beginning tomorrow. That is Friday.
Only 10 days, though. Only 10 days, though.
Only 10 days of it?
Yeah.
Just so get your tickets and get in to see The Fate of the Red Elephants. And anyone who didn't get that reference, I don't know how to help you. Get on Twitter, get on Instagram, email me. I'll let you know what that was all about. But anyway, before we get into it, and as per usual, promo to follow us on social media at Go Red Elephants, our handle across all platforms. Make sure you're visiting our website daily, too, for updated athletic news, photos, and general information. And please download our Gainesville Athletics app. It's calling you. It's calling your name. From the Apple Store, from the Google Play Store, you can roam with the Red Elephants wherever you go with our Gainesville Athletic apps. And if you will turn the notifications on, you will get some handy-dandy insider breaking news information whenever, we send it out, however that goes. So, coming up this week, our weekly vibe check with Coach Josh Niblett. Plus, we're going to welcome in senior cross country and track and field athlete Ethan Fountain, fresh off a third place finish individually in the Hall County Championships. And we're going to have a chat with our pitching coach for our baseball program, but more importantly to this season, and I mean this season in time, the head of our new flag football program, Jordan McCoy, is going to join the show. Adam, as we dive in here, the first most prescient question on everyone's mind: how in the world do we continue having lightning delays?
I knew it was just a matter of time before this conversation came up again, and as much as I catch the blame for it, I don't want it either.
Is it a little flattering? It's got to be, though, a little flattering that people are like, "Hey, Adam, when's the lightning gonna stop?"
Yeah, because I have that control. Yeah, I look at my app as much as I can. Literally, and every Friday night that we have a lightning delay is no doubt I have to go charge my phone because all I'm doing is refreshing and checking the time.
Yeah.
And as much as we count on the weather people to give us the right information, it's all a guess in the end. So, but God, can we please not?
Please,
have any
no more.
I mean, we've already played 5 home football games. We've already
three
played,
of them have been delayed.
Yeah, and I'm ready. And as you mentioned, the first podcast of October, I had to wear a long sleeve shirt this morning on my walk. I was excited about that. So maybe with some cooler weather, we'll become less lightning.
Maybe, but I also, it's your fault because you're wearing pants. And again, we need to go back to episode 1 or 2, whichever it was. Adam has always worn a leg covering of some sort. It's just whether that leg covering went to the knee or all the way down to the ankle. He has not shown up to football games pantless, but up until this year you decided to switch up your mojo a little bit and wear long pants for every football game. And literally our first 2 football games, we had these horrible lightning delays.
Yep. And the purpose of wearing long pants is I want us to win a state title, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes for us to win a state title. But also, so maybe there is a little bit of me that has to do with the lightning delay because at the end of the day, promoting, people renting the suites. I got to say, those that have been in the suites have been nice and dry. And they have been super happy throughout every lightning delay. They're getting fed well.
Yep.
So just throwing that out because we do have 1 suite left for the Chattahoochee game. Roswell sold out.
Nice.
So if you're interested, if you want to take the chance, we may get snow for the Chattahoochee
Here's the
game.
thing, though. If you are taking a chance on the suite, i.e. buying the suite for the evening for the Chattahoochee game, in the hopes that there is a lightning delay, I'm going to tell you right now, my friend, I'll get you. I'll find out who you are, and I'll come get you if there is, in fact, a lightning delay.
Goodness.
And here's the thing. We've talked about this before, Adam. And listen, for those of you crawling out from under your rock, we won 67-0 over Johns Creek last Friday night. It was not a game before the game ever started. Yeah. We were up 40 by halftime. Our starters were out by midway through the second quarter. No offense to Johns Creek. We just did what great teams do against teams that aren't so great, and we put it on them. And it was a wonderful show for 30 minutes. But because it had been delayed and because we get there so early, like I get to City Park on a home football Friday night about 4:00 in the afternoon. Many of you are asking, well, why? You have that much work to do? No. Most of the work I have to do has already been done throughout the week because that's how we roll around here too. It's just so wonderful, peaceful to be at that field, up in that press box. And so I relish those moments. And Adam actually does have a ton of work that can't be done until a football Friday afternoon. And so he's over there about 4:02. We've been there forever by the time the lightning delay even hits, pun intended. And so then when you get to halftime, it's like, can this not just end?
Well, and it's just, when the lightning hits, everything kind of stops. And
it does.
Just sit there and wait.
Yep.
So we've done all the prep work. We've got everything in line. And for me on a Friday night, it's about have the team shown up? Have the officials shown up? The band and the cheerleaders? Is everybody there that needs to be there? And then kind of once everybody is there, the game is kind of easy.
Yeah.
So when we sit into a lightning delay and everybody should know, and I'll mention this too. Johns Creek was later getting there.
They were.
Than you typically teams show up between 5 and 5:30. I think they left
at
Johns
5.
Creek at 5.
Yeah.
Which is what it is. But so they were getting there later. So it kind of worked out well for them that we had the lightning delay. But once everybody's there, and then something like that happens, lightning delay, everybody's just sit and wait. And I think everybody in the stadium then just feels like, hey, let's text Adam and ask when the delay's gonna be. What's our projected start time? I don't know.
Will you please stop with the lightning? Well, so and we'll get off this subject here after this, I promise, folks. But I have access to the weather app that is used to determine, or not really even determine. There's no determining. It tells you when a lightning delay needs to start. It tells you when a lightning delay has restarted. And for those of you new to the lightning delay world, if lightning strikes within 8 miles of our football stadium or any stadium, then play, and that includes warm-ups, is delayed by 30 minutes. Now, the 30 minutes doesn't get added on if there's another lightning strike. The 30 minutes just restarts. So, for instance, last night we're sitting there. Adam says there's a lightning delay. I pull up the weather app we use. I'm watching it, and I just began, and it was driving the people in the press box crazy. I just began saying every time it would restart, restart it again.
Yep.
And it restarted a lot.
And that's the frustrating part is as I mentioned, like in my phone, I'm just constantly refreshing, and every time I look back, it's like, we're in 29 minutes again.
Yep.
We're 29 minutes again, and until it starts getting below 25, which is crazy, only 5 minutes that lightning, I don't even start planning anything.
No.
And then I usually tell the coaches, like, when it gets below 20 minutes, I'll come and let you know, and then we'll come up with a plan.
Yeah.
Because again, it just when one hits, it just
and it's interesting you say that, because like I don't know if I hadn't witnessed it with my own eyes via looking at the app. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if I hadn't witnessed, I would really believe, but truly, the first time it got below 25 minutes, we were done. Like it went all the way down to 0. That was it. And so, about the 25-minute mark, got a call from Adam, and he said, we're going to warm up at 7:45 with a start time at 8:15. And I'm sitting here going, but it's only saying 25 minutes. Surely that, and no, it just rolled right down to 0. And we started when he said we were going to start, and everything was fine. But it made for a very, very long Friday night. But all that aside, football team did great. We'll talk with Coach Niblett about that coming up. We'll also talk with him. He was mentioning last week about how he wanted the team a little more dialed in at the start of a game. Did the lightning delay, another lightning delay at home, deter that at all? I don't personally think it did from watching the team. I know there was a fumble at the opening kickoff, but, what did he see? We'll have those conversations coming up with Coach Niblett. Now, we have an exciting week this week. And understand we're recording this on Tuesday and Wednesday for broadcast, obviously, on Thursday. Broadcast is such an antiquated word to me. We put it out.
Yeah.
We
released.
We'd be revealing the episode on Thursday.
We should start having release parties every Thursday morning.
Listen, I am all in. What else do we have to do? We're just sitting around waiting on lightning to strike. But anyway, exciting week. Our flag football program debuts. Did so Tuesday night. We're recording this on Wednesday. Did so Tuesday night with a 60-0 victory over Johnson in the first scrimmage in program history. And they have their first real games of program history coming up on Thursday on Bruce Miller Field at Gainesville High School. Clark Central and Marist are rolling into town. Going to be exciting. And so, if you can come out, again, we're right outside the Student Activity Center is Bruce Miller Field. If you can come out, wonderful venue to see our athletes perform, please do so. New program, and anytime Gainesville can make history, to me, it's a great day.
And I think it's so cool, that we're starting this new program, girls flag football, which is really kind of taken the state by storm. As one of that and girls wrestling are at the top of the charts is what's growing in the state. It's hard to not think back. Again, I've been here for 9 years. You're a lifer. Who are some girls that would have been elite flag football players? Who
first I got to start. I got to start with your co-host.
I was going to say after you. I mean, let's just be honest.
All-time quarterback.
Understand? Yeah.
All-time quarterback.
Who's next on your list?
Oh man,
who's your first teammate you're pulling?
Got to be Stephanie Aram. Stephanie Aram Ransom.
Yeah.
Unbelievable All-American soccer player at the University of Georgia. Started the soccer program here. Or was on the first team, I should say. She didn't herself start it. Was on the first team, and obviously was a key cog in Gainesville's first girls basketball state championship run. But she was. I don't really know if you can describe the kind of athlete she was. She could jump out of the gym, calves, the size of Tyler Ford. And if y'all know who Tyler Ford is.
That's a pretty big calf.
He's a 300-pound offensive lineman for us. He's a big boy. She was just an unbelievable athlete, but more so than that, she had that smell blood kill, and excuse my grotesque nature, but that's how we roll around here. That was her. That was the mindset of most of our female athletes back then. When I say back then, the mid to late 90s. She had that mindset, the most wonderful human being, sweetest person. Oh, my God, she was a homecoming queen. Just Miss Popularity. You got her on a field of play, on a court of play. You got her on the pitch. Something snapped inside her brain. And that is, I would love to line up only with her for flag football. Yeah.
Would it have been cool to see, Kiki or Lauren Teasley out there?
Oh my gosh, yes. Or Araya Jeffers.
Oh yeah. Oh God.
I loved Araya.
She just outrun everybody.
I just loved Araya. And Araya also had that clickable thing in her head.
Yeah. Sweet as could possibly be.
Quiet.
And then was going to get after.
But she was just a dog.
Yep.
And what was so interesting about Araya to me was she would go through a whole game not able to hit the broad side of a barn.
Yep.
She'd go 0 for 10. But dadgummit, if we needed a game-winning shot, we absolutely knew who we were going to hit. She was great. I'll go back even a little further, to the Jackie Smiths or the Carla Lipscombs. Laura Neff would have been, and Betsy Vanalsdahl would have been great. We just had Tasha. Can you imagine Tasha Humphrey out there?
No.
Girl, just go post up in the end zone. We'll find you.
Guaranteed touchdown, one play every time.
But also, a Kingsley Barrett, our Lauren Darnell, our old school golf. They were athletes too. We had.
And I think that's the cool thing about flag football is obviously there's some skill to it.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest part about it is just being athletic in the way that, throwing and catching. If you can throw and catch, I'm a novice at this. I'm not trying to say I know what I'm talking about. But I would imagine you'd be a pretty dadgum good flag football player. And obviously Gainesville's had a ton of great female athletes that come through that I think would have relished the opportunity to do that.
Oh, no doubt. And we'll get into that a little more when we have Coach McCoy on. But, I want I want all of our athletes to be successful. Make no bones about that. But, there's something about watching these flag football young ladies, and I'm so jealous of them.
Yeah.
And so there's also this part of me that wants them to be super successful too. We would have had wouldn't we, girls? All you out there listening, Brooke, all y'all, we would have had a great time, wouldn't we have?
Well, and I'll tell you, they looked really good last night, and brand new uniforms.
Yeah, those look tough.
Hey, and they were black. Don't tell anybody.
It's a new sport. Nobody's going to care.
Yeah. No, but they looked great out there. They had a lot of fun. They came out with a little bit of an attitude.
I love it.
Which
I love it.
Love seeing from our female athletes. So very
That's what we
excited to
want.
see what they've got a tough schedule ahead.
Yeah.
Now, crazy. I can't believe this. Somewhere somebody decided to put together a top 20 list of for each division, and we came out number 7, having never played a game before. Don't know how that happens.
To me, that seems about right.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I mean,
why weren't we higher?
But
Gainesville High
I
School,
mean, are
of
they
course.
just looking and saying like who has the most athletic females?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so earned.
We'll take it. We'll
Earned,
take it.
I get it. But Coach McCoy's done a great job of putting together a schedule that's going to challenge us before we roll into our division play, our area play. Flag football's set up a little bit differently. And it kind of threw me off whenever I saw the divisions come out because I was looking.
Ours is weird.
I was looked at our division and I was like, wait a minute, like us and Habersham are the largest schools in the entire division, and then from there we're mostly 2 and 3A schools, smaller schools. But what they did is they put all the schools that it's the first year playing.
Yeah.
Which
It's fair.
At first thought I was like, well, that's odd, but it's a great idea. And then somebody asked me yesterday, so next year, will we be in the same division? First of all, I have no clue.
Right.
We're going to go through a reclass in
He controls that
October.
about as much as he controls the Lightning.
Yeah. We'll go through a reclass in October, and I don't know how that's going to affect when it comes to flag football. I don't know if we'll move into a second-year division. I have no idea. But, I think all of the 5 and 6A schools have been playing flag football for longer, so they're in a much different division. And maybe it'll have something to do with the competitiveness. If we have a really good season, they'll move.
Right.
I have absolutely no idea, but it's very interesting to see who we ended up with. And at the end of the day, we expect to have a decent season. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and got 2 tough opponents coming in on Thursday.
Yeah.
I encourage you folks, get out to Bruce Miller Field, watch these young ladies compete. It's something else. It really is. And the last thing on that, you mentioned their new uniforms are black. I promise you, the people complaining about the black uniforms would never watch flag football because girls shouldn't be playing football.
Oh, come on.
Come on now. All right. So, exciting week coming up. Now, let's take a look back. We just sort of took a look back talking about who would make great flag football players on the female side of things, of course, but we want to take a little more recent look back in our From the Trunk, where we look at what more recent alumni of Gainesville High School are currently doing in the collegiate ranks. So, Adam, who we got in From the Trunk?
So first, I'm going to start off with our Red Elephant on Red Elephant. This week we had Furman played Stanford, so Gavin Hall got to meet up with Will Turner. Gavin Hall running back for Furman, Will Turner offensive lineman for Sanford. Gavin had 16 rushes for 65 yards and 3 receptions in the 31-13 win over Sanford. Then on our T-Lander watch, Tennessee played Mississippi State, pulled that one out 41-34 in overtime. Jeremiah had 7 tackles with 3 of those being solos. Also want to mention for the first time, Nick Taylor, who is at West Virginia, had an interception in their game versus
Good for
Utah,
him.
where he
Awesome.
had 8 tackles and 4 solos. And then, as we mentioned last week, West Georgia, where we have 3 alumni, they won 27-24 over Utah State. And also want to mention Zion Ferguson, who's playing corner for Pitt, got his first playing time of the year versus Louisville. So
Fantastic.
Another good for the football guys. We talked about this off air. Did want to mention we have not talked about Jamoris Maldonado, who's playing volleyball at Brenau, and she's having a great season, and Brenau's doing really well. So I'll do more research and have some report back of what her season's looking like.
Jay Maldonado, for you all that do not remember, a star, and I'm going to mispronounce this word, libero.
Yes.
Look at KDB.
Well, depending on who you're talking to.
Libero.
Some people say libero. Some people say libero. I'm a hardcore libero.
Okay. So I think
what,
I've heard it pronounced libero in any volleyball on ESPN I've happened to fly past.
Yeah. Well, and if you're an elitist, you
Right.
call it libero.
Libro.
Libro.
Is that what our dear friend to the show, Christina LaCurve, would call it? A Libro?
I've never heard her say
I can hear her Yankee tail saying it just like that. A Libro. Yeah, okay. We can see that.
There's probably some other words that go with that as well.
A few choice words. That's right. All right, folks. We got a great show lined up for you. Again, weekly vibe check with Coach Josh Niblett coming up, along with senior cross country and track and field athlete Ethan Fountain, fresh off a third place finish individually in the Hall County Championships, and the man of the hour, fresh off a 60-0 scrimmage win against Johnson in his program's first appearance in school history, flag football coach Jordan McCoy. All that and more coming up behind the G. The continued success of Red Elephant Athletics is due in large part to the support given by our Gainesville community through their membership to the Gainesville Athletic Club. The GAC serves all of our GHS programs with funds providing the necessary equipment and gear, among other things, that ensure our student athletes continue receiving a Division I experience in high school. Learn more and become a GAC member today by visiting GoRedElephants.com. Gainesville High School cross country participated in the Hall County Championships this past weekend. Boys team coming in second, led by senior Ethan Fountain. He finished third overall. Ethan's been leading the way the entire season for our boys cross country team. The way they go is the way he goes, and vice versa. And he's joining us now on Behind the G. Ethan, what's going on, my man? You doing all right?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Listen, I can't complain. Can't complain so far. Let's talk a little bit about this season. Obviously, anyone involved in athletics wants to finish out their career, whether it is a singular game, an entire season, one race, wants to finish out their season at their best, wants to finish out their career at their best, wants to finish out their time at a particular institution doing their best. And you're doing that this year for Gainesville. Do you feel that way every time you run?
Yeah, I feel like I am. Personally, it's been a rough year in general with us losing a lot of people, but I'm doing it to the best of my ability, racing to the best of my ability, practicing to the best of my ability, and trying to take the team with me, pushing them like we're trying to get Skylar back right now, to having him run at the best visibility, and we're hoping to make it to state by sectionals November 1st.
Yep, want to be peaking then for sure.
Absolutely. And so, Ethan, let's talk about your path to get you here today. So you've seen the boys team, that side of it, be up and down, and you've kind of always been a little steady part of that. You're where you've been in the lineup has kind of moved. So talk to us a little bit about what it is you've done over the last 4 years, how Coach Corbett has pushed you to grow. You've seen a lot of great runners come before you, and now you're that great runner.
Right. It actually started more in 8th grade with me. I met Coach Corbett my 6th grade year, didn't know much. I was honestly really intimidated by him. He can be a very intimidating person when you first meet him, and then he softens up once you get to know him more. But he was like feeding my ears, like, hey, come to summer training during the summer and run with a high school. And I was like, I'm not good enough to do that yet, I don't think. And then I actually started the summer of my 8th grade year, and having the experience to do that helped me a lot. And when it came to high school, I started running with the varsity group, when it was John Jessup, Connor Profit, and all the other guys. And that's what pushed me to run faster times my 9th grade year than, let's say, some of the other people on our team. Obviously not like Skylar, but it helped me to push, and them helping me was able to push me to where I am right now. And then my sophomore year, that's when John graduated and Connor was doing Connor things. And then we had Noah Peters transfer in, which was a really good thing. And we had a lot of new guys on the team then too. We weren't really favored to really do anything well. I believe we got 7th that year, maybe. Yeah. At state. And then going into track, actually, the track was not my favorite sport at the time. I honestly hated track, but it was a lot of fun, and they helped me with, like, when it came to the mile. That was like the first year I broke 5 in the mile, and I broke 11 in the 32, which is the 2 mile pretty much. And they helped me get an idea of track, get my feet wet into like something to help me push more, like with like the type of speed. And then junior year, that's when we lost a lot of, like, obviously we lost Connor. There was like only one guy coming back from our 4x8 team from that one state that year. And it was a lot to push, but we also brought in 2 new guys, Sam and Daniel, who came out of nowhere, honestly. We did not expect them to do as well as they did. And they were also amazing teammates. And that's what really propelled me to have, like, the speed. It was running with Logan Jordan was helping me with, like, the speed side of everything. I already had the endurance and all that, but him pushing me when it came to speed and everything really helped me with that. And then senior year now, we're like almost rebuilding because right now, well, going into the year, I was the only person coming back from the state team from varsity cross country. So it's almost like a rebuild year, but we have a lot of depth coming in from like the 9th and 10th graders and even some 8th graders coming up.
It's definitely a rebuilding year, young program. Random question here, because I have to, like, when you go off on these runs and you're gone for a long time, like, what are you thinking about? What, like, like, how do you keep yourself from just getting bored? Because you're just going to run.
Oh, we just straight up have random conversations in the middle of a run. Like, we go at a moderate pace, like on long runs. We did an 8-mile run yesterday.
Yeah, just an 8-mile run.
Nothing major.
And it was pretty much me and Oswaldo just having random conversations. Like, we both have physics together. It's like, hey, what'd you get on the physics quiz or something like that.
Meanwhile, we would be passed out.
Oh my
dying,
gosh! Listen,
not even coming close to having
and I'm
a
sure
conversation.
you were talking about having that conversation midway through an 8-mile run. Which, for those of you not good at math like me, that's 4 miles in. I don't even know that I'm still standing.
No, not at all.
2 miles, a half of that. I don't know that I'm standing. So, Ethan, you've talked a lot about the likes of a John Jessup, the likes of a Connor Profit, a Logan Jordan, how they sort of left a legacy, a footprint you wanted to follow in. What are you doing to ensure that you leave that? Mentioned it's a really young program. There are a lot of folks to lead right now. What are you doing to make sure that the guys coming behind you understand what it takes to succeed? Not just for Coach Corbett, who we know is a demanding coach, but to be a successful cross-country runner and program at Gainesville High School.
I do my best to push them a lot, like, even when it seems like I'm overly trying to, like, get them to do stuff, and it just seems like I'm just like a mini Corbett almost.
Who doesn't want to be a mini Corbett? I like that.
But, like, I'm, like, Oswaldo's running with me a lot, and I'm, like, pushing him. We run about the same pace on long runs, and then we have sophomore Andrew Collinson with us also. Sorry, that was my alarm.
Oh, my goodness gracious. What is the alarm for? What's it set for?
Oh, to come to school.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
We had to set an alarm for
Keep
that.
talking, Ethan.
But also sophomore Andrew Collins, he brings a lot of the conversations. Like, sometimes we'll be like 3 miles in and haven't said a word, and then out of nowhere he just starts talking about something random. And then we think, who is this kid?
Yeah.
And then once we actually start to think about it, it's actually kind of good we have conversations, because honestly, if we don't, it's really boring.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So, all right, final question is this. Listen, we are both huge Richard Corbett fans. He is just, he is one of the most intense coaches we have around here, but also absolutely one of the most lovable. And I think that if you see him on the outside, you see the intensity. If you are fortunate enough to get to see a behind the scenes, or behind the G, as it were, then you see that lovable guy that you were talking about, who genuinely has these last couple of decades worked diligently to serve our young people. That is clearly what he was called to do. Even if it came later in life, very obviously what he was called to do. What is it you like about competing with Coach Corbett?
As a whole, Corbett's he jokes with you a lot. He will pick on you, and he is not afraid to do it. He'll point stuff out. Mid race, you just hear him yelling, and either if it's a good comment or bad comment, he just wants to push you.
Yeah,
and it's fun competing for him. And he once he gets super excited, it's one of the best feelings in the world. And then he told us this, I believe, I think it was Monday. He was it seems like he'll come unglued on you because he's he's a very in the moment person.
Mm-hmm.
If he's gonna tell you now, how he feels, and if he's gonna yell at you and something, he's gonna yell at you for something. He said something about that, when Nick Saban was coaching Alabama, he was on the sidelines, he would come unglued on his players. He's Corbett's that kind of person. He will, in the moment, sometimes he'll yell and then apologize a minute later.
We've all been there.
Yeah. Daily.
But he's a very passionate coach, and he loves what he does.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing.
Do you have a good Coach Corbett impression you can give to us?
I do not.
Nothing. A saying that he's always going to be yelling during the course or anything.
For me personally, he's just use your speed, get up there, run, just get up there, please.
Well, I mean, if he's yelling, he's paying attention.
Yep.
It's when he stops yelling that you've got to worry.
On a speed workout, he tells us sometimes we have a speed workout today, but on speed workouts, sometimes we start out way too fast, and he's just be smart. Stick to the pace. Don't run too fast.
The man knows what he's talking about, too.
Absolutely.
Senior Ethan Fountain really leading the way for our boys cross-country team in what has been some unexpected but of course reveled in success this season. Ethan, good luck to you the rest of the year, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Make sure, if you haven't yet, that you're following us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook @Go Red Elephants is the handle. And bookmark our website, GoRedElephants.com, where you can find the latest news and photos from Red Elephant Athletics, plus roster and schedule information. Go Red Elephants on social media, GoRedElephants.com on the web. All the Big Red you can handle right at your fingertips. Behind the G, very proud to welcome in the coach of one of our newest sports here at Gainesville High School. And it's been a while since we've been able to say that we are having an inaugural season for a sport for the Red Elephants. But this year we got two. We got esports, and then we've got flag football. They started their season Tuesday night with a scrimmage win over Johnson. 60-0 was your final. I think, Adam, they had 9 pick sixes, something like that?
They may have just had another one.
They may have just had another one. They may have just had another pick six. But an incredible first-time performance for our flag football team. They open up their season tonight at home against Marist and Clark Central. Folks, get over to Bruce Miller Field just outside the Student Activity Center at Gainesville High School. Come on, support this team from its inaugural season, our girls flag football team. And joining us now, the coach of that team, the helm of the program, the head of the program, Jordan McCoy. What's up, Coach? How you doing?
How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, all right, it has got to be intimidating to start a program anywhere. But I would think starting the program, maybe I'm a little biased because I'm long-time, old-time Red Elephant. Starting a program here, I think would be a little scarier, maybe. Maybe that's the wrong word. How have you approached beginning a program at Gainesville High School?
The first thing is the excitement of flag football in general around the state. So when Coach Lindsay came to me and asked me for that opportunity, I knew we had girl athletes in the school building. So the first step was getting them all to join.
Yeah.
And the main thing was working with other coaches to get the best product we could on the field. So intimidation-wise, it was a daunting task. This is my first head job. But it was a very exciting task knowing that I think I was put in a position to be successful from the jump.
That's nice to hear. And listen, for the rest of your coaching career, and Jordan, by the way, also our pitching coach for baseball, came over when Coach Chan Brown did, and does a phenomenal job there as well. But you can always hang your hat on this. If nothing else happens the rest of this season, you don't have to use the word scrimmage. Nobody's going to hold you to that. You can say, I had a 60-0 victory in my first game.
And that's how you started off right there. I was just going to go right into, Coach, was that what you were expecting last night?
It isn't. I was expecting us to be, we have good athletes all over the place. But at the end of the day, we only had one athlete that had ever stepped on a football field and played flag football before. So technicalities and stuff like that, I was interested to see how they handled there actually being a referee on the field and following rules and all the above. But I thought they adjusted well. The athletes overall, the referees were kind of teaching out there, but they handled structure well for it to be a fire drill preseason. We've only had 10 practices, so for that to be able to be taken care of from the jump was good to see.
And it's got to help. Sorry to interrupt you, Adam. It's got to help to not have first time, or sort of this sport be the introductory sport for any of these young ladies. I mean, you've got basketball players out there. You've got track and field athletes. You will have softball players out there. Notice some of them on the roster. These are young ladies that are. They're used to a certain kind of structure. So they're almost looking over their shoulder to see where it is in this sport. Yeah. It's
funny because that's when I was kind of making the decision of like putting girls in different positions. You're trying to put athletes out in space. But when I came down to it, like our quarterback is the point guard of the basketball team. You know, I put her there because I felt like she's used to making decisions on the go.
Right.
So trying to relate track girls, I'm trying to get them out in space and let them go straight, run in a straight line. So, trying to correlate in practice, I've talked to them about, even a guard in flag football is a lot like setting a pick in basketball. So I've been trying to relate things like that to help them understand the game. So. And that was
to me kind of one of the interesting things about last night, as you mentioned, your quarterback being the point guard. She's got to see the whole field. She's used to seeing the whole court and being able to dish the ball wherever it needed to go. So when we've only had a couple hours since your game. So what did you take away? Is the big thing that you're gonna go back to the team with of what you learned and how you're gonna move forward?
I think the best thing is today will be the first day we actually get to see ourselves on film. So we hadn't filmed any practice. Like I said, it's been a fire drill of a preseason, but just watching the film from last night, you could tell we started out a little timid, a little rough. Yeah. But once the flow of the game happened, athletes started being athletes. So just learning technicalities. Like I said, the referees last night were loose. So some things we got to clean up.
Well, and the referees were doing a lot of teaching themselves.
Oh, no doubt.
Well.
Yeah.
I think we had one flag official that had done flag before, and the other two were learning. So that they took that scrimmage as an opportunity to learn themselves as well. And we're learning too. I have two great coaches on staff. Alyssa Santana that played at Sequoia High School, and then D Brown's doing a really good job with the defense, obviously with what they did last night. So we got we're working together. We're learning. I'm learning the sport still, but we got girls that are picking things up very, very quickly and learning. So I'm excited to sit down with them today and look at film and talk them through some things that we definitely need to clean up to get ready for tomorrow. I've made mention in a few spots over the course of my life, whether it was a speaking engagement I did when I was in sports media or a Hall of Fame speech this past spring, or actually it was when I was introducing someone a couple of springs ago. It's neither here nor there, but my favorite movie growing up was Quarterback Princess with Helen Hunt. And I wanted so badly, not the princess part, screw that mess. I don't care anything about crowns and tiaras and dresses even. But I so badly wanted to be the quarterback for a football team. And it just wasn't a reality when I was growing up, right? Like we would have our little powder puff games, and they did call them powder puff games, and they were flag football games, and we'd do them over homecoming, and, every grade played the other grade. And then you played in a championship. We did it on a Saturday morning, and you want to talk about competitive. It was outrageously competitive. But we never had a formal flag football place.
females didn't have a formal football place in sports. You look at a Shelley Garner Buffington, or Shelley Garner Black, excuse me, Shelley Black now, our first and only female football player at Gainesville High School. And I'm super, super jealous of these young ladies that are getting to, so I'm living vicariously through them. And yesterday was absolutely chomping at the bit. I was up at the softball field watching our girls compete there. And just, waiting on the next text from Adam, the next video from Adam to see what these young ladies are doing. Because truly, and if you speak to a lot of former high school or college female athletes looking at what these girls are doing, man, they are living the dream we never got to we never got to fulfill. Because every single person, I know Avery, your Adam's daughter Avery is another one that, like, where was flag football?
Yeah. And
she just graduated. I mean, she's literally upset. I'm 40-year-old woman upset.
Yeah, I got a phone call from her last night that wasn't happy about that. But I think the crazy thing about us starting flag football right now is football is obviously not a novel concept to our girls. Right. Whether they've paid attention to their brothers or watching Gainesville football or watching college football, like showing up on day one, it's like, and I just go to like lacrosse because that's would be the next one. It wasn't, here's a stick. This is how you catch the ball. Like they've all caught and thrown a football probably before. So showing up on day one, it wasn't really, you're teaching the intricacies of the sport, not the sport itself.
Is that?
I agree. The concepts of like running routes. A lot of our girls, our track girls, are used to running a straight line and turning left. Yeah. But like play one last night, we get Akila Borders out in space, and she's an athlete. She just becomes an athlete. So it's just trying to find those, putting girls in the position to be successful. Finding, some are rushing the passer. We have two girls that just love to just get after it, like so almost to the point where it's a little aggressive. Like it's not tackle football.
I love it. But
like go,
let's go,
green light, go. And so that's fun to watch.
And so one of the things I learned last night, because again it was the first flag football match I've been to or watched, is the referee sets a cone at the line of scrimmage, and then there's a cone like 2 yards off of that, and that's where the defense has to line up. So you automatically creates 2 yards of space between the two. And our defenders that were chasing the quarterback, I mean, I was worried. They were going to be a little aggressive. One of them even got a penalty at one point, and it's like, again, just learning the intricacies of the sport.
It was funny. At one point, there was a pass that went up in the air, and freshman Lalani Rosario, she's a soccer player, and ball up in the air, and she just goes up and straight up hip checks. So I'm like, it's not soccer.
But it's soccer. She boxed her out.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So you clearly have, and I'm not trying to stir the pot here, nor do I have really any preconceived notions that this still happens, but I am still floored nonetheless by young men who come in to coach young ladies, and they don't do anything to dampen those spirits, or they don't come in. What am I trying? They don't come in having. They have no preconceived notions. They're just going to coach athletes. Yeah. And I love that you have in this interview. You hadn't said young ladies like I have. You said athletes, and you coach them as though they're just athletes. You have two daughters.
I do.
When they come of age, would you want them coached by someone who thinks of them like you think of these girls out here on the football field?
100%. I mean, an athlete's an athlete. Doesn't matter, gender. Any athlete, you have to empower them.
Yeah.
Like an athlete, like I said, an athlete's an athlete, and you are trying to get the best out of them no matter what. There's one that I got into some girls last night.
Good for you.
And
let's go.
I don't know if they had seen that side of me, but I kind of seem, I'm pretty laid back, but I mean, I'm sure you've seen it in the dugout in baseball. Like, I get passionate, and it comes out more in competition than it does practice. In the baseball side of things, Chan's pretty fiery. Yeah. Coach Brown, our baseball coach, and so like I kind of have to be that. I have to be that equal opposite.
Right.
But like I know in my position now, like I have to be that voice. And you know, it came out, and a few girls wide-eyed, but, you know, I do my best to go back and circle back with them, you know, listen to the tone, not the message, all the above. But, you know, like I said, an athlete's an athlete. It doesn't matter what they are,
So before we wrap up with you, Jordan, I do want to, and, you know, yes, as we move towards baseball season, into baseball season, we'll probably have another conversation. If for no other reason, then maybe we can get the behind-the-scenes story of when Chan gets kicked out for the first time, gets kicked out of a baseball game for the first time, because it is happening. I was convinced it was going to happen last year. But anyway, like I said, I love watching coaches coach, and he's one of those I love to watch coach. So give us a little... tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into baseball, how you got to Gainesville.
So I played for Chan at Parkview, graduated in 2009. We can get on a different story there going into that, but obviously he's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing. I went off and played college ball at Nicholls State in Louisiana. Got to play a few years of professional baseball. Once I got done playing professional baseball, I came back and started coaching under Chan. And that was always my deal, is once I got done playing, I was going to come back and learn from what I believe is the best. And so just, you know, learning from him, obviously we have two completely different styles, but they're just, you know, there's a lot to learn from him. And I have learned a lot from him, how to handle players, how to handle parents, how to handle tryouts. You know, I was told, you know, hey, obviously as the head coach, you got to run a tryout. He's like, you better keep numbers. Like just little things like that. You know, how to run a practice structure. You know, athletes strive under structure. But, you know, like I said, he's been a mentor for me. We're family. We live, you know, my kids call him Papa Chan. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So just, you know, he's been a huge mentor for me. And, you know, that's part of why when he took the head baseball job and he's like, hey, will you come? It was an easy decision for me.
So does the different demeanor have anything to do with different position? Like, because I know pitchers are like even keel, or should be at least.
Not necessarily. I think that's just my personality. He's a firecracker. And, you know, I'm super competitive. I was a pitcher. I was a closer. In college, that was my
so that's
role.
taking it to the net.
So like, I was a guy that, you know, when I came in, they're like, "Here's the ball, go finish a game." So like, there's a switch there,
right?
That I'm able to flip, and you know, I think pitchers could tell you that, catchers could tell you that, but in baseball, it's kind of equal and opposite. I'm taking care of, you know, I'm circling back with kids when he's jumping their tail,
right?
You know,
right.
And I think I have a staff. You know, Coach Santana right now is kind of that person. You know, I jumped some girls, but she went right behind me and said, here's why he's telling you what he's telling you. So I think you always have to have a staff, when building a staff, that, you know, you have to have the guy that...
The good guy and the bad guy.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I think right now, you know, we're 10 days in or whatever, but the staff that we've put together for Flag, it feeds well off of each other.
It says a lot about where you're going as a coach, though, that you can play both the good guy and the bad guy. And I don't mean play, but that you are both that. So, like in baseball, you're the good guy role. You know, Coach Brown, he's the bad guy. Right. But, you know, now with flag football, it's got to be the complete opposite, because let's be honest, and I don't think I'm too far off in saying this. You're not going to have a very successful program if it's the head coach that's the good guy and an assistant coach that's the bad guy.
No, it never works that way.
Right.
You see a lot of people that try that. And, you know, at the end of the day, the head coach has to set the standard. And if that standard is loose, then it's not really much.
So we wrap up with you here. Again, girls play tonight, Bruce Miller Field, just outside the Student Activities Center on the campus of Gainesville High School. A beautiful turf field. We don't have a lot of shade there, but we throw a lot of shade there because we do a lot of winning. So come out and see our girls play. Again, we got Marist, we got Clark Central coming into town tonight. Jordan, Adam's got one more thing, but where do you hope this goes? Where do you see it going? Where do you want it to go?
And so that was my thing. I scheduled those two teams that are going to come in here. Clark Central have 80 girls in their program. Traveled up to Baltimore, Maryland to play a game last year. Like, both teams that are highly touted. Marist is obviously don't have a ton of athletes. I wanted our non-district, non-area games to be super competitive.
Yeah.
I felt like we can match up, but two, we can learn from those teams. And when we're watching film, when we're doing stuff, I didn't want to just put together, a schedule that, per se that we would run through. I wanted our girls to be challenged. So I'm excited for the challenge that's going to come in here. And I think it's going to be two highly, highly competitive games, and hopefully our girls can learn from it, win or lose. Coaches have always told me you don't ever lose, you learn.
Yeah.
And so, hopefully that's not the case, but if we do, we're going to learn from it. So.
And I was just going to throw in there two things. Number one, preseason ranked number 7 in the state.
There we go.
That's pretty
Yeah.
crazy that you get ranked that high and haven't even played a game. But no, I just wanted to follow up on your promotion of the game that we want to get as many people out. We are not charging for flag football this year because we want everybody to come watch and see what we're doing. So please come out and support. And
if Tuesday night is any indication, what we doing is pretty good up in here. Jordan, love that you are heading up our flag football program. I don't think the girls could be under any better tutelage if it was Josh Niblett Jr., even though there's not one of those. But Jordan, you can take up that if you want to.
We'll try our best.
We'll try our best.
we'll get them some more joggers.
That's right. Yeah, need more joggers and need more J's. That's it. Appreciate you being on, man. Best of luck to you tonight and as the season goes on.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much for having me.
4th-ranked Red Elephant football, 2-0 in Region 7-5A play, fresh off a 67-0 win over Johns Creek last week. This week, Big Red going to hit the road for just the second time this season, taking their talents to Seconder, where they will play the second road game, 3rd region game. That coming up again this Friday. Coach Josh Niblett joining us for the weekly vibe check. Coach, once again, the team faced adversity last week in a major weather-related delay. 3rd time this year that has happened, yet it didn't really bother them at all when it came to doing what they were supposed to do against a team coming in winless and scoreless. Our guys hit the field stomping.
Yeah, to God be the glory. I mean, it was one of those weeks to where you're prepping, and I think our guys did a really, really good job of making it about us and how we prepared during the week. So we had some benchmarks we wanted to try to hit in the game, and number one was start faster. Besides the turnover on the opening kickoff, I mean, other than that, we did play fast. Defense didn't give up a first down the whole game. They were 0 for 13 on 3rd down. Offense scored on their first 7 possessions. And then we had a special teams, had a defense return for a touchdown. So I'm just proud of our kids, how they handled it. And then, we talked about, this is kind of a funny, it's not a joke, but I told the kids last week, I just didn't feel like we were locked in enough before the game the week before. And I think that has a little bit to do why we're not starting as fast. But just about every game that we've had a rain delay, we've started fast. And I think it's because we got to go out there and get warmed up really quick and let's go play.
Right.
And I told the kids this week, I was like, hey, lock in the locker room, right? And then Adam comes in, and they were locked in.
Yeah.
Even Nib, my brother, who don't say a whole lot. But he's like, hey, the guys did a pretty good job up until, Adam came in and said, hey, lightning. And then, hey, it's probably going to be an hour and a half. I'm like, oh, no. I was like, well, that lock-in's, that's down the drain now. So, but, I was proud of our kids, proud of the way they played and our staff.
So, when you go into a game like this and you kind of had an idea of what the game was going to look like, what the outcome was going to be, what is it that you try to get out of a game, a lopsided game, where they just don't offer a whole lot? So what is it that you try to get out of for your team when you go into a game like that?
I think it's more or less us trying to set a standard for who we are and what we want to do, no matter, we just call it playing a faceless opponent, right? So, it can't be about who you're playing, because then, this week, how are we going to respond? Next week, how are we going to respond? You got to put everything in perspective, and I think that's a big part of our program. We want it to be perspective. If you play really, really well and you lose, then we got to figure out what we got to do to get better, but we played well. If you play well and you win, then you kind of feel good about what you're doing. If you lose a game and you played well, and then vice versa, there's a perspective that you got to keep, and it's my job to make sure. And I thought during the week, when we went into the week, it was hey, here's what we got to do to get better, because every Monday we come in, we have the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And so that bad's got to become good, and the ugly's got to become, either eliminated, or it's either got to move up a notch to where we're not making those mistakes. And there's a lot of things that we learn from, but we want to get a lot of guys a lot of reps this week.
Yeah.
That was big also. And then if they haven't played well, let's don't let them play well against us, right? I mean, because they were looking for an identity, and I was like, well, don't let them find it this week, right? Let them find it next week, and don't play, down to the tempo of the game. Take the tempo of the game up to another level, and I think our kids did that.
So what was the ugly this week?
13 penalties.
Ooh.
Yep, that was the ugly. So that's something that we got to get taken care of. And the thing about it is 2 were on special teams, 0 on defense, 11 on offense.
Wow.
And so, whether it was a holding call or, blocked late in the play or whatever it is, we just got to get those cleaned up. And, we had some guys that went in the game late and, and they're still trying to find their way. And so either they're jumping off sides or they're holding. So half of those probably came at the end of the game.
Yeah, you're right, because we did have, 3 touchdowns that were called back.
Yep.
Late
We did.
in the fourth quarter or something like that.
And we had a special teams touchdown called back. A deep return. So
260 yards rushing, 266 yards passing. Not to beat a dead horse, belabor a point, however you want to say it. Yes, having an efficient offense a little easier when you're playing a team that doesn't offer much. And that was the case last week. No offense to Johns Creek, but it seems as though with each game that we've played, we've gotten a little more balanced, a little more efficient. I mean, Kareem 10 of 14 throwing. I think Nigel only had 4 rushes, but still 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kareem does a great job of spreading the ball around, which gives each wide receiver a couple of opportunities, and heaven knows they're making most of their catches. There just seems to be a certain efficiency. But Coach, what is the and maybe this is a dumb question, but what is the benefit of balance, especially when you're getting into second year and then we're going into Milton? Does having balance and always sort of being able to know, okay, we're going to have this and we're going to have this, allow you to at some point solely rely on a run other than a pass, or solely rely on a pass other than a run? What is the benefit of consistently being balanced?
Well, I think every game presents itself a little bit different, right? I mean, because you're going to have certain people that know that you're balanced and you love to run the football, well, they're going to load the box. Well, if they load the box, you can sit there and beat your head up against the wall, or you can get the ball out on the perimeter. So that might be a night where we throw the ball a little bit more. Well, if don't feel like they match up with us on the perimeter very well, they're going to play more with 2 high shell safeties, so they'll have less in the box. So that might present itself. For us, as many formations as we get in, I mean, unless it's a run or it's just a true throw, most everything we have has got a run-pass option to it. So there's some nights we end up taking the run, some nights we take the pass, so you take the good with the bad, right? But I think that's what's allowed us to be kind of balanced, and I think we've been pretty balanced all year.
Yeah.
And, and I think the thing with Kareem is the thing offensively we want to do is this. We want to throw the football when we want to throw the football, not throw it when we have to. Mm-hmm. So can we throw the ball on first down, right? I mean, you got all these goals, you got all these accuracies, you got all these printouts we do on Sunday to tell us where we are offensively. We're averaging 11 yards a rush this past week, where the week before we averaged 10 yards a rush. I mean, most of the time you just want to average hopefully 4 or 5 yards a rush if you can. And that can be off of who we played. But yeah, I just think when you're balanced, then you keep the defense kind of off balance themselves, because they don't know what you're going to give them. Are you going to throw it on first down? You're going to throw it on second down. And there are times where we try to break some tendencies to where when we get a 4-game breakdown and, hey, second down's been heavy run, hey, we need to throw the football a little bit more. So that means they're probably going to load the box on, and then if it's formation, hey, we love to run out of this formation. Hey, the next week, hey, we need to make sure that we're throwing some out of it, right? And so there's a lot that goes into that. But for it to come out, I mean, one week I think we threw for 220 and ran for 220.
Yep.
I mean, I wish I could say that, Hey, I worked all that out, did the math on it, and made sure it all evened out. But it's not the case. I think if you do it enough, then I think what presents itself in those problem solvers, our kids are really good at figuring that out. And so, but I'm happy to a point of where we're at. We just got to clean up the penalties from an offensive perspective.
And the penalties can, come and hurt you at the wrong time.
No doubt.
And that's why it's so important to get those cleaned up. So as we turn our eyes to Seconder, another big game this week, region game, continuing on with trying to achieve our goals of winning a region championship. When you look at Seconder, what do you see? What are you concerned about? What do we need to do really well this week?
Well, I just think, they've done a really, really good job over there because, when you decide what you're going to do from a schematic standpoint, it's usually always based off your personnel. Mm-hmm. Now, they got a couple of kids that can really, really run at the wing. They're a little bit more of a hybrid wing T, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't see that a whole lot anymore. Back in the day, you might see it 4 times a year. Yeah. Now you might see it once or don't see it any for 2 years. And so it's like playing the triple option. Somebody's got to have dive, somebody's got to have quarterback pitch. Well, in wing T, you got to make sure you're communicating, make sure your eyes are right, you're reading through the triangle, all right, you're doing those little things, and then you got to tackle well. Because they got some guys when they hit a crease, if we don't get them down, then they're explosive players. Defensively, they're a little bit of feast and famine now. They want to do everything they can. I don't know if you remember last year, but, they put 9 in the box and played 2 over 2. And early on in the game, we struggled with it a little bit, couldn't connect. And then I think we scored 35 in the second quarter. 3 of them were one-play drives just by, getting some balls out and some matchups. And we got to take care of the ball. We got to play well on the road. We need to play well early. Don't give up big plays. And then on special teams, I think we can steal a possession. I do, and we need to. Because last week, that was the other bad part is we had about 28 yards of hidden yardage where we let a ball hit that we should have caught, fair caught, and we let it hit. It rolls for 20 yards. And those little things like that, when you play in big games against really good opponents, come back to bite you. And so we don't want them to come back and bite us, so we need to make sure we're taking care of them now.
How hard is it going to be? I think it's easy for a team, and y'all did not, which speaks to the character and leadership in that locker room. But it's easy to overlook an opponent like last week. Didn't do it. Worried about ourselves. Yep. And again, hit the field stomping. It was a great thing to watch. It took forever to get there, and the game took forever. But
amen.
Why does everybody look at me whenever?
Because I firmly believe in some capacity you were controlling this lightning thing.
Nobody wanted to get out of there quicker than
I know.
Friday
That's
night.
the truth.
Yeah, that's true.
I hear that.
You did have a trip to Virginia. Yeah, for sure.
So listen, we got anybody can look at a schedule and see that pretty big one coming up next week at Milton, and it's been thought that the region's really gonna come down between Milton and Roswell, and being the kind of red elephant I am, sitting next to 2 red elephants, I'm pretty sure it's gonna come down to Gainesville in one of those 2 teams. But keep it about us, never about the opponent. How hard is it though to not just overlook a little bit, because you know what's coming next week?
Yeah, I think that's the thing you got to guard against. But at the same time, I think we've really tried to do a really good job of being in the moment, be where our feet are. I told our kids 2 things, like if you don't think this is a big game, then lose it and see how big it is.
Yeah.
And the other thing is this. We can't go 4-0 in the region until we go 3-0, and so this is the next one. And our kids are locked into that. You could see it today at practice. You could see the energy and effort they had in the weight room. We probably had one of our best lifts we've had probably since July yesterday. Our numbers are even higher right now than they were in June, which is huge. And normally you don't see it that way. But I think our kids, there's a little bit more maturity to our kids as far as understanding, hey, I'm going to have a chance to go out and compete this week. And, I want to go make the most of it. I think as a staff, you got to do a really good job of making sure that, we always get breakdowns on teams as the year goes, is not being consumed with that either. And I think our staff's done a really good job of that and keeping our guys focused and locked in. And then I will tell you, the word this week, like last week, was the standard, right? And in the middle of it. This week is our standard, right? But then the word within the standard is sand. Like, how are you going to use your sand this week, right, in your hourglass? like everybody has an hourglass. And when you wake up every day, you have sand. And how you use that sand, you can waste it or you can use it. And so I told our guys this week's about how you're going to spend your sand. And I told our seniors, like, look, when you get to be a senior, like, you don't look past games.
Yep.
Right? You better love every moment, because when it's over, it's over. And so this week, that's what we've been talking about. I went and got an hourglass and revealed it to the kids yesterday, and hoping they knew what that was. So it's in my window. So every time I go in there, I turn it over. So every time they come by, there's sand coming in and out of it, because I think that's important to us this week is let's don't waste our sand. And I think our kids are realizing that.
This is definitely not a Days of Our Lives generation.
No.
That's all I think about.
Hey,
when
I like
think
it.
about
I thought about
Hourglass.
that. And the one that I have, you need to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, these are the days of
Yeah.
our lives. I love it. So little hard left turn here. Last week was homecoming. We had 4 representatives from the football team on the homecoming court representing. I think actually 2 were representing the senior class, and Xavier and
Yep.
Marshall. But had 4 representatives from the football team, and dadgummit if Xavier Griffin didn't come out with a homecoming king. That's pretty cool.
Well, it was pretty cool. And I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I've never had players do the halftime thing, but this year, those guys, I was like, y'all go do it, man. You deserve to do it. And, I mean, it's just great for those guys. I think we had a guy that represented every class just
Yeah.
about, which is huge. And that means, on our campus that, our guys are well known, and liked. And I think they try to do the right things. But I think most people, when they vote for you, it's not just popularity. It's people they think they can depend on you, and they love being around you.
Yeah.
And so I was happy for that. It was a great representation.
It's funny, and I'm going to tell this funny story right now. I know I shouldn't, but I haven't had a chance to tell you this yet. So I was walking around the Johns Creek AD during halftime, and we made our way all the way up to the roof of the press box, and he looked down, and it was right as they were reading Xavier Griffin's name as homecoming king across, and he goes, hey, what do you, are y'all cool with doing the whole, letting your players out for homecoming, this kind of thing? And I just looked, I said, I'm sorry, we wouldn't be doing this if we weren't playing y'all.
Well,
just to be honest.
Yeah, we need to make sure when we're planning those, it's hard to figure that kind of stuff out. But yeah. It kind of presented itself this year, so I was kind of good with it. So
Was it really your first time letting guys?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, and it's not that. I think other places I was at, our guys were not they just weren't in the homecoming court.
Yeah.
Girls were in the homecoming court, and there was a school king and queen, but you didn't.
But typically they do the girls at the football game.
Yeah.
They do the king at the dance.
Yeah.
We never. The homecoming king at Gainesville High School is a relatively new thing. When you're talking that, it's a decade long.
It's the first place I've ever seen them do that at the football game. It's always been at the dance. That's why there wasn't.
It's
an
not
issue.
the first. Well, Shorter University. This past weekend. Their linebackers in the court, and I'm thinking, wow, here we go. And he won king too. In the middle at halftime. And we were sure enough fighting for our lives, so he probably needed to be in the locker room. But he's a pretty good player, but I was proud for him though. Yeah.
Well, but that halftime is pretty important, in a close game.
It is.
Whenever you're trying to make adjustments, when you're trying to get a little bit of rest and
hydrate up
fuel
and
yourself
and
off your feet, all those things.
It's just that scenario, but it is also one of the things that, lack of a better way to do it, we have made a conscious effort to, when we plan senior night, when we plan homecoming, so they're not distractions.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, all that stuff is a distraction to why we're there, which is the football game. So it is intentional, and it worked out well this week to have Johns Creek, and we, a game that we expected to not have to worry about so much in the second half. So that worked out well.
Yeah, I'd say we didn't have to worry about it. Again, 67-0 the final last week. Gainesville going to Seconder this week. Coach, as we wrap up this week's vibe check, only the second road game. Gainesville fans are spoiled right
We've
now.
We've already played a full season of home games.
Yeah, and we've still got 2 more home games to go.
Yep.
But we're a spoiled fan base right now because all we've had to do is travel to City Park for the most part. So your message to Red Elephants, to the Red Elephants, to get them on the road to Seconder.
I just think it's important for everybody to show up and show out. When you cut on the film, even all the other teams that they've played, there hasn't been many people show up for those teams. And so for us, we're the standard, right? We want to be the standard in the state. So not just from a football perspective, but the support of our football program. And so, People need to show up and be there, support these kids. Everything we want is in front of us. All right. So if we're all going to want to go try to win this thing, let's do it together. And these kids deserve that support. So everybody get there early. Let's be ready to go to work and get a W. And God bless everybody and go Big Red.
As per usual, Big Red, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your consideration. If you have any questions you would like answered from us or the coaches and student athletes we have on the show, or if you have a guest suggestion, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, katie.davis@gcssk12.net. I would give you my cell phone digits, but I don't trust half of you. Keep up with the Red Elephants on social media. We're Go Red Elephants on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget to check out everything we have going on via our website, goredelephants.com, and our Gainesville Athletics app. For myself, KDB, our athletic director, Adam Lindsay, still working hard on that album, Life of an Athletic Director, coming your way on Friday. We look forward to the next set of conversations as we take you behind the G.